All right, well, thank you guys all for being here. Hopefully you grabbed this piece of paper here. It kind of shows the overview of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I just want to let you guys know, many of you have been saying you didn't realize that we actually were not in here before COVID hit. So let me just give you kind of a brief rundown of what we did before COVID hit. So last year, which feels like 5 years ago, we were meeting at Lee Eaton Elementary School. And so we started meeting in there in January. We had a meeting just like this, although there were a lot less people. And we showed up at the building, kind of talked about what we hoped to do there, and then we spent some time praying. And so that's what I want to do tonight. And then after that, we actually started meeting there for, I believe, 8 weeks. And so we practiced, we were setting up and tearing down all of our equipment. And then, as we all know, the whole world came to a standstill. And we've been online ever since. Actually, a year ago, next Sunday marks 1 year since was our last service at Lee Eaton Elementary School. So it's been a long year, but I think that the Lord has taught us all some things, some valuable lessons. And I'm excited to move on to what's next. But one of the things that I think we've all learned over the last year is that we're holding all of these plans loosely. So this is what we're praying for, and Lord willing, these dates that we're listing and this plan will go the way that we're hoping, but we're holding all of these things loosely and trusting God that no matter what happens, He's in control. So I want to start just giving you guys some dates for what we're hoping to do in order to launch or to be back in person in this building on Sunday morning, March 28th. So leading up to that, and then a few dates after. So if you've been tuning into the Sunday services, then hopefully you've heard me mention the last couple weeks. Next Sunday, March 7th, and the following Sunday, March 14th, we're inviting our home groups to come and be a part of our recording. In case you guys didn't know, we pre-record the worship and all the elements of the service, and then the sermon itself is live. So we're inviting everyone to be there for the live sermon, even though everything else is pre-recorded. So those will be for those 2 weeks. And then March 21st, we're inviting everybody. So anyone can come to the chapel in Akron on March 21st. Our hope is that if you come there, you'll help us tear down after we've had all of our stuff set up. Kind of got a little bit spoiled not having to set up and tear down, but I'm looking forward to getting back. It is fun when we get into that rhythm. So that is March 21st. So March 27th is a Saturday, March 27th. We're going to be here, and we're actually going to practice setting up everything. So at 1 o'clock, if you can write down 1 o'clock on Saturday, March 27th, is going to be our setup and tear down training. Now back last January, anyone have ever heard of Portable Church that wasn't with us in the spring? Okay, so Portable Church is a company that's out of Detroit, and they specialize in helping church plants move into places and move out without a trace. And it's really impressive. It's like a system that all works when we know what we're doing. And so we had someone from Portable Church last January come down and train us. And this time we're going to be doing it on our own. So we've set everything up a couple times over the summer. And I think for the most part, we kind of remember what we're doing. It might be a little bit challenging, but that's Saturday, March 27th. We're going to be in here practicing setting up everything. And then we're just going to leave it all up. And then on March 28th will be our first Sunday in here for an in-person service. If you haven't, I know I'm throwing out so many dates. I'm going to answer questions in just a minute. So that is March 28th. The following Sunday is April 4th, which is Easter Sunday. So we're just going to do a normal Sunday service. It's Easter, so it's going to be exciting. Lord willing, we'll all be together for that, so we can invite friends. But then the following Sunday after that, which is April 11th, I'm going to be I'll send all you guys all these dates. April 11th, we're having what's called a preview service. So we did these in the spring. A preview service is when we just encourage everyone to invite people, even if they're people that won't actually be part of the chapel in Nordonia. So we're doing that service in the evening, so at 5 p.m. on April 11th. And that'll just be a chance for people, like I said, who aren't actually going to be a part of our church, but still want to come see what it's like. They'll be able to come because it won't conflict with their Sunday morning. And then lastly, April 18th. April 18th is our big community launch. Okay, so we're meeting in person starting on March 28th, but our big community launch is April 18th. So hopefully by then we would have had some practice. We know what we're doing when it comes to setting up and tearing down, and it'll go smoothly when we start sending out invitations to the community. So I know that's a lot of dates. Any questions about any of the dates that I just mentioned? Nope. All right. Well, if you have a question, just raise your hand and I will answer that. So those are the big upcoming dates. Again, I'll send all of this out in an email, and it's going to be posted on our social media as well. But really, starting next week, we've got something exciting every single Sunday. So it's great to be getting back into the swing of things. Let's see here. I had a few ways that we can be praying about serving. Here we go. All right, so it's been interesting but exciting over this last year, as there's been kind of a limited way that we could serve on Sundays. And people like Dakota and Mario have been stepping out of their comfort zone and learning about the cameras. And actually, can we just give them a hand for all of the services we've done would not be possible without Brock and these guys over here. So. However, that's going to switch once we return to in-person service. We're going to need as many hands on deck as possible. And so we've got greeting teams, so we're going to need people outside to be greeting. We're going to need hospitality teams. Right? We're going to want to transform this place into a place that feels neat and feels just like a church. And so if you're someone that's good at catching things that are out of place, we could use your help there on the hospitality team. Ushers and section hosts and people that usher people into their seats, the security team, the next steps team, people who are ready to pray with people after the service. And again, you don't have to make a decision of where you want to serve right now, but I'm just giving you a list of all the opportunities. Security and med team, those are two teams that hopefully we never have to put into action, but it's always important to have those. And then, of course, the tech and video team as well, and the parking lot team. People out in the parking lot helping park cars. And so there's so many different opportunities to serve. There's really a place for everyone. I know sometimes I talk to people and they say, I just don't know where I can serve in the church. If that's something you're thinking right now, I guarantee there's a place here that you can be serving on Sunday morning. So there's going to, again, be more information sent out about all of this. When we have that first Saturday in here, when we're setting up and learning where everything goes, that's where a lot of the pieces are really going to fall into place. So that's going to be a pretty important Sunday right there. And then the kids ministry team. So now I'm going to pass it off to my mom, who's going to talk a little bit about kids ministry.
All right. It is great to see all of your eyes. Okay. Anyway, it's great to see all of you. Thank you, Millie. I knew you would pick it up. Great to see all of you and great to be back. We are very, very, very excited about the kids ministry, which has not stopped and will not. Praise God, right? So just a little highlight about what we're going to be doing, because there could be some questions out there about what we're going to be doing for kids ministry. And we are still praying and looking forward to serving from birth to 6th grade. It's going to look a little different, obviously, under COVID and all of that, but that is our prayer. So how is that going to work? Well, we're going to have 2 classes. You pass them as you were coming in. Those classes will be the first one, birth to 3 years old, and then the second one will be our pre-K to 3rd grade. So those are 2 classes, pre-K usually about 4 years old to 3rd grade. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then we have not forgotten about our students from 4th to 6th grade. So they will be ministered to, but they will be in service. And they will be provided with a little binder and some kind of a tote. I mentioned tote to Reed, and he was like, is that like a bucket? No, we're not going to have a bucket. We're going to have a bag to have things so that they know they can just grab their bag and come to church. And so we'll be providing all of those resources still online. So we've been providing those resources online. We've had a little spotlight from several of you, and we want to thank you for that. That airs at the YouTube, on the YouTube, because that's what my generation calls it, the YouTube. So that airs on YouTube at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's an overview of the lesson. So we'll still continue to do that, and then our classes will also have those lessons that are right in line with the online, and that's going to be the continuation of the life of Jesus. And then we will follow the sermon, service for the 4th through 6th grade. So we're real excited. If you are having a child birth to 6th grade, we would love for you to put your name on a sign-up sheet so we have your information and we can contact you. And then if you would prayerfully consider serving, we need lots of hands and hearts to serve the children. So I think that's all I got. Thanks.
And I just want to echo why she's going to sit back down. Just like with the guys who have been helping out with video, I want to thank all of you who have been helping out with the kids and helping us do those spotlight videos and making phone calls to parents and all of that. The kids ministry hasn't stopped over the last year either, and so I'm so thankful for all of you who have been taking part in that, and especially our junior leaders, our junior servants that are here. If you haven't seen all those spotlight videos, we always have different junior servant who's either reading a Bible verse or signing the theme, and so it's just amazing to see everyone still being involved. I also just want to mention, we talked about kids ministry there. One of the things that we're hoping to have this year in 2021 is a student ministry as well. So after 6th grade, between 6th grade and high school, so that we can really start pouring into those of you who fall into that category. We don't want you to feel like you're forgotten at all. And so this year we're hoping to really launch student ministry and then also the men's ministries and women's ministries. And so I've talked to some of you about that already. Just know that is on the horizon. But especially for you students, we don't want you to feel like you're just lost in the mix here. All right, any questions about anything up to this point so far? Whether it's about the church in general or about us regathering. I know one of the things I'm looking forward to about being here is that pavilion outside, so we'll definitely have some plans to use that over the summer. No questions at all? All right. Yes, go for it.
Hey, who are your full-time staff or part-time / full-time staff?
Yes, so currently it's myself and Nick Buto would be our, there he is. Nick Buto, I don't know why I pointed over here. Nick Buto, our worship leader. We're the vocational staff, but we have so many of you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this without so many of our leaders out there. Yeah. Yes, so, good question. So the preview service on April 11th will be at 5 p.m. Again, we're holding this loosely, but that's the plan right now, 5 p.m. But our regular services, we're hoping, will still stay at 10:30. Well, at 10:30. Now, yes?
Will there be a morning service?
No, there will not be. Nope. So that'll be a chance to do whatever you want to do on Sunday morning, and then we'll have an evening service together. Now, one thing that we do need to keep in mind, especially when we figure out how many people we can actually fit in here while social distancing, if we did need to go to 2 services, then we would have to rearrange the time a little bit. Right now, our plan is to start with just 1 service at 10:30. But that's a good problem to have if we have to. Questions? Yeah, go for it.
What are the social distancing guidelines, bylaws that we at Chapel Akron are intended to hold?
You were saying, are we holding to what the chapel in Akron is doing?
I'm sure that we are, but what are those guidelines?
So the only guideline right now that's chapel-wide is that we're going to be wearing masks inside unless you're speaking or singing. That's the only guideline that's chapel-wide. The individual social distancing guidelines are up to each campus. Yes?
What's our place on this campus?
So one of the things that we're going to need to do before the 27th is get in here and measure out the distance between the chairs. We haven't done that just yet, but we do want to social distance in here. We're not going to have people right up on other people, but we haven't measured and figured out exactly what that is. I know Wadsworth and Akron and Greene, they just block off every other row. And so maybe we'll do something like that. Haven't figured that out yet. Any questions?
So all the chairs and tables are on site as part of the property?
Yes, so we won't have tables, we'll have rows. So if you were, I wish we had like a projector and I could show pictures of what it did look like at Lee. Our goal is to set up similar to what we had at Lee. So we'll have rows of chairs and the big projector and the stage. Which, again, if you weren't here in the spring, it seems like a lot to set up, but once you get in the rhythm, it goes pretty quick. Yeah.
Can you give a general idea of how long, and I know we haven't done it yet in this new iteration, but how long setup and tear down typically takes?
Yeah, so Nick or Will or anybody who's here can speak into this. Usually what we did, so we started service at 10:30. The trailer usually rolled in at 8 o'clock. So the trailer rolled in at 8. Those who were here to set up the worship center were here at that time. And what time did the kids' classrooms start getting set up?
8:30.
Around 8:30. Now, we were doing 4 classrooms, now we're only going to do 2, so we'll see what that means. So portable church, again, I wish I could show pictures, but we couldn't bring our projector. All of their systems are made that if we have the right number of people, which I think for us was only 12, and we had far more than that, thankfully, it's supposed to take an hour or less. So we're not trying to do like a 3-hour setup or anything like that. But we were here at 8 o'clock, and the only reason we got here at 8 was because rehearsal started at 9. So that way the worship team could start rehearsing. And I'll just kind of give you an overview. So people either got here at 8 or 8:30. Rehearsal would start at 9. Man, it's been a year. I'm trying to remember back to this. We usually had what we call a pre-service huddle, where everyone who was serving got together and we prayed together and talked about the order of service and all that. I believe we did that at 9:40. Right? Does that sound right, guys? Anyone remember a year ago? I think we did that because then we were ready to go at 10 as people started showing up. Again, last year we were hoping to launch on March 29th, and we made it to March 8th. But we did get 8 or 9 services. But I will say, just me personally, and maybe you guys could attest to this as well, that pre-service huddle was one of my favorite parts of every Sunday. Just everyone who was serving together, just praying together, getting to know each other a little more, and just seeking after the Lord for that morning. Anyone else who was here in the last spring want to say anything else about that?
The actual setup itself is really like that hour. You really get it done in about an hour, 50 minutes.
Exactly.
Down to a little bit even faster.
Yeah, yep.
Both like the longevity of the time, you can practice all that stuff, but you really get the work done in about an hour.
Exactly. Yeah, so it is usually about an hour, and usually, the gymnasium will go up first. Although I did say last year we were trying not to use the word gym, we were calling it the worship center, and so gym was our banned word. So we would set up the worship center first, and then usually while the rehearsal was starting, the foyer was being set up, and the pipe and drape out there, and the coffee. So yes, we will have coffee, if anyone is wondering.
Will we be lifting the hoops?
I'm assuming they would go up. Yeah. So, but we would want to make sure that they're up. So. Michael, these hoops do go up, right? These hoops do go up? Yeah. Yep, so we would want to make sure that those are up. Yes. No, go for it.
Did you guys have a designated team, or did you kind of rotate people?
That's a great question. The question was, did we have a designated team for setting up and tearing down? We always wanted to get to that point. So our goal was what the portable church guys told us when we came down, is that after 10 weeks was how long it would take until it feels like you're riding a bike. which seems like a long time, but it really went by pretty quick. But then again, we only made it to week 8 or 9. So after 10 weeks, which would have been right after our launch day, we were going to start designating teams, and we didn't get that far. But the hope will be eventually to have teams.
There's like about 3 or 4 teams, and maybe cross-train on 2.
Yeah.
Make up for absences.
Exactly. And one of the things that was really cool too, we never assigned anything, but everyone just kind of naturally gravitated towards something. I remember Jamie Lehman, who couldn't make it tonight, just kind of started setting up the lights. DeKayla and Jeff were always setting up the stage, and it was just, people just kind of gravitate towards something. And I'll say this, if you're like, I would never want to touch a projector or a speaker system or anything like that, we had people helping us just set up the communion outside and just folding bulletins. I don't know if we're going to have bulletins right now with not trying to touch everything. But there's so much that, even if you can't lift anything, there's so much that you can be helping as well on Sunday mornings. Kayla?
Oh, sorry, I was waving at Reese.
Oh.
You're smiling.
Any other questions? I know I said that it felt like we got spoiled because we didn't have to set up and tear down, and it was nice just being able to go into the auditorium or the gym in Akron, but I really am looking forward to when we are setting up and tearing down. There's something about team building, and it just brings us all closer together on Sunday mornings. Closer together while social distancing. Anything else? Well, we do want to close with worship at the end, and I still want to answer any questions. So if anybody does have any questions that I'm explaining this, just raise your hand and it's fine. But one of the things that I want to do before we close with worship, and Nick, if you want to come up here and throw a song on or something, is just spend a little bit of time praying. We believe, and even though things didn't work the way that we wanted them to work at Leeton last year, God had other plans. We really believe that prayer is the foundation of everything that we do. And so I don't want to leave here this morning this evening without us just spending some time in prayer. And so if you're someone that just wants to pray by yourself at the table, that's totally fine. If you want to pray with someone around you, that works. Or even if you want to spread out. One of the things that we did at Leeton last year also was just spread out over the building and pray. And that way we're just really drenching this building in prayer even before we have our first service. So for just about 5-10 minutes or so, we're just going to spend some time praying, and then we'll come back together and sing a song, and then that's all we had tonight. There's some refreshments over here if you didn't get those, and be sure to sign the sheet if you didn't sign that when you came in. But let's go ahead and just spend some time praying, and then we'll come back together and sing one song together.